Come on. What's wrong? Give me a second, folks. Give me a second, folks. Testing microphone 1, 2. Testing microphone 1, 2. Pardon me.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy, Mana. Just give me a second.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy, Mana. Just give me a second. Thanks for being here nice and early. I'll need to adjust my microphone settings briefly. Gonna leave my get more noise in, but it's also going to Yep. Let's remove the noise gate. There we go. Much better. So that it picks up everything. You like the new background look? Very Halloweensies. Hello, folks. It's me. I'm Biggie, and I'm back, and we're doing novel reading today.
Very catacombs.
Wow. Okay. For some odd reason. I don't know why. Okay. Just give me a second. I don't know what it is about the PNG tuber that's refused, that it is delayed every single time, even with my normal microphone now. Okay. Give me a second while I reboot it. Rebooty. Yeah, even with my normal microphone, there's like a slight delay. Is there some setting that delayed it? So if I pick my microphone, test. Look at that. I'm gonna go ahead
Come
and
on,
have
little Manta.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a go and have a look at some of the Windows settings. It's happened last stream and it's happening in this stream, so no, this is Bluetooth. Want to see sound mixer options. Okay, microphone is JLab as default device. That's fine. Voice meter? No, voice meter input is working okay. Let's go to the volume mixer. I want to see if the applications like PNG Tuber is.
Man, CR1T call hasn't done a moist meter in a long time.
Yeah, he hasn't. I don't know. CR1T calls up one way of calling him. Oh well. I don't know what to do. Okay. But yep, I'm on my side, but I'm on this side today. Hopefully by tomorrow I'll be back to normal. See, but tomorrow I'm not going to, well, either I'm going to stream tomorrow, which is going to be okay, but today is a very packed day, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by reading some parts of my novel and some of the new things that I've added. So we'll do that and get that over and done with as quickly as possible, because we have Civilization 6 to teach. Isn't that right, Mr. Manda? So let's thank all of our members. Thank you, Apilux, Manta, Rafa Vega Chapa, I'm Islam, and Chris Brendan for being members at the time of streaming, getting to watch vids early, and cool badges and emojis for whenever you comment. If you want to join the membership program, feel free to do so. It's the join button or just subscribe on Twitch. Those work as well. As you might also notice, just as a side note, I'm particularly proud of the candles flickering. If you notice that. It's very subtle, but really adds to the atmosphere. I might need to tweak it a little bit so that it's a little bit more...
I did notice. It's neat.
Yeah, okay. But yep, Mr. PNG Trooper is not doing so hot today. I might need to reset my PC. So after this live stream, I might try to go and reset my PC and see if things sort themselves out. But if not, then that's fine. Okay, where am I? Let's see. Doo-doo. Okay, so we're back on the memoirs of Jakob's screen. Before we go to the memoirs, I'm gonna show you a new page that I've linked earlier. And where is it? It is refusing to maximals. I have no idea what's wrong here. Okay. First thing is we have to say goodbye to Al-Bakir. I'm going to keep his page. Yeah, we're holding a vigil for Al-Bakir here. So go to all pages and go to Al-Bakir. Like I said, it is a real unfortunate thing to do, because the good old Turtley boy here no longer fits the lore. I wanted him to be the I wanted him really to it is back when metal belongs to the reptiles as an element, and earth belongs to the ants or the insectoid people. And we had to do a bit of a switcheroo, because of the
Al-Bakir could be remade as a figure of legend, perhaps.
Al-Bakir is an interesting thing. I mean, we could add him as an Easter egg, or we could add him as an NPC. Certainly. But the thing about it is he no longer fits the lore as a deity. Right? Because what happened is what it did was I wrote the creation myth of this entire thing, and it made less and less sense for a turtle to be a god of to be a turtle god for the Muhammir, because it is less and less correct in terms of flavor. I thought of them being metal and craftsmen, and that kind of made sense in a little bit, but then the more I dig into it, pun intended, the more I realize that it is so much more likely that the storyline belongs to the storyline, and the beats and the characters all mostly belong to the sand people or the earth people. So we've de facto gone full Dune with the Muhammir. We've gone full Dune. Unfortunate. And I haven't even finished writing the Al Kafir wiki entry. It still has old remnants of this one. So let's look at this one. I will also need to put on a very Halloweeny song for this to whatchamacallit, add to the atmosphere. Where are you? Is this too loud?
Have a mountain that the race calls Mount Bakir, maybe.
It's a little bit too loud. Okay.
It's a little loud.
Yeah, there we go.
Better.
Okay. With that, let's go ahead and start reading The Descent of the Gods. So I've created The Descent of the God as a holy text in the form of a children's book. I had this idea that the quickest way to spread religious propaganda, written distributed by the Mahu, is that the first major publication is the one that's created and distributed by the use of the printing press. So there's the whole Gutenberg printing press thing and wood block prints, right? So that's probably how to spread ideas and things. Yeah. And anyways, it was the essential part. And there's the Gutenberg Bible. So, well, I'm not sure if you know about the Gutenberg Bible, but it is the first majorly printed book, as its place in the pantheon of history as maybe the first book. But yeah, anyways, so by writing this creation myth, I'd had to reroute all of my resources, or all my story beats from post Muhammir chapters onwards. So it is no simple undertaking, because I had a whole story planned that the Jalaya, or the amphibian people, will be last, but now they have to be third, right? And this is my creation myth that I created using the various gods, and I turned them into as a way to teach people about the world. It's probably a wonderful little thing to give. Could be a nice little reader pre-game thing, right? Okay. So this is also an important aspect of not only the world building, but the game concept. Yeah. But over here, as you can see here, Zaria, we have in the beginning there was nothing, like any good old gospel is gonna say. Zarios brought fire. He woke Al-Kafir, the dragon of earth, and they fought. And from them came light and darkness. So that's the first image. Yeah. And it is specific on how I create the flavors of each god, or which god has what domain. So, for example, Zarios, since is fire, versus Akofir, which is earth. So Zarios and Akofir fought each other to create light and darkness. And it also not only mirrors that, but it also mirrors on how
The
planet
eternal
Earth.
war between furries and scalies.
Yes. It also is a parable in comparison to how the Earth was created, right? This is actually just how it came about. You know how in the Earth was just nothing but rocks and lava and heat gathered together, and then Kamayini descended, right? Kamayini brought water. She took Akafir's limbs. He slithered as she danced. He shaped the mountains and the oceans, and from them came the form and flow. She took Zarios' heart and threw it in the sea. He fled to the underworld, and from them came life and death. Yep. So, as you can see here, we have Kamayini, heart in one hand, leg in the other, right? We have Zarios down there getting turned into lava and magma. And with water introduced to the earth, we start getting the world started to cool down, and so mountains and things could form. So that's the gist of how that goes. And then and it's also water is the first thing that triggered the life, because the primordial soup of life started within water, and with that came and the difference between, and now you start seeing how I built each of them, right? We have form and flow, which is form is basically shapes, right? So the use of earth forms things or creates things and shapes things, and water flows through them. So it's in other words, it's being rigid versus being adaptable. But then for a children's book, I went with form and flow because it does better in that sense. And life and death is simple enough, right? And then we have Lucian. Lucian brought wood. He took Kamayani's eyes and buried it on land. She flew blindly into the sky and wept. From them came order and chaos. Kamayani's eyes sprouted into trees. Its roots brought Zarios' fire into the sky. Zario gave fire to men, and from them came war and peace. Life fed from the soil, they grow, feed, and die. Akofir swallowed what's left behind, and from them came growth and decay. So this is also another image, right? So by taking her eyes, right,
This story is also a bit similar to the creation myth of Norse mythology. The ice giant Ymir was slain by the gods who used his corpse to make the realms.
Yes. In my interpretation of this is that, well, this is, the world tree, the whole Yggdrasil thing is very similar as well. I mean, Lucian as the god of wood, it would be similar to creating Yggdrasil, but this is a parable, of course, of this is a how I use the myth to create the idea of life moving from the sea onto land, because we started off with chlorophyll, right? After chlorophyll, the earth gets flooded with oxygen, right? And once it's flooded with oxygen, then we have an atmosphere and a sky. And the earth might have been turned into an ice ball once or twice, but like in that Bill Wirtz video. But the comparison is that once trees started to take root, we have oxygen, and then Zarios became the sky, the sun, or the light on the atmosphere of the earth. And also Zarios giving fire to men so that they gained intelligence and started war. And this is the why I layered things as such is that everything is based on dichotomies. So as soon as I've set up oppositions between elements and what they're like in comparison to one another, right? Like for example, water is chaotic compared to wood, which is orderly and slow. And when wood is all about growth, the earth is all about decay, right? And then the opposite between fire and wood, I think fire burns in times of war, wood is grown in times of peace. So that's that opposition. And next is and it's separated into various different times. So the old primordial earth, pre-life, post-life. This is prehistory. And Zikocha, our ant queen, is just not post-history, history, right? So Zikocha bought metal. She cut Lucian's legs and as he slept and made them tools. From them came the made and the natural. So it was the artificial and the natural, right? But then the made and the natural seems very child-friendly. She took Zarios' fire to heat her kiln and gave him swords and plows. The more she made, the more he raged. From them came creation and destruction. So the metal is created and fire destroys it. She etched the first words into clay. Tamayini, blind, could not read them, so she washed them away. From them came preserving and change. So that's what I'm actually quite proud of, because it has so many layers to that line. Because the words gets etched into clay. It is the first evidence of writing. So that's one thing.
Bars.
Yes. So and it also alludes to the fact that metal, or the metal element, is about existence and creating and preserving things to make things last. Because metal lasts, but it doesn't. Water rusts metal and tries to erase it and change things. Water adapts to things. So that's the opposition between water and metal. So metal keeps things as is, and the tides of time changes things as well. And there's the fact that she's blind. It could be several different things. Is that there's just so many layers to that. It is the fact that she is not only blind in the sense that she can't read, but there's also the kind of idea that justice is blind to a certain extent, that it's equally, we're all equally susceptible to the passage of time. And what's important here as well is that preservation and change is only possible with the idea of time existing. So the most important element here to consider is that Zikocha also brought in the perception of time in the preserving and changing things. And yeah, so that's why the next line is, as time passes, Alkafir buries all she crafted and wrote. From them came the clear and the hidden. So she's all about truths. And I think the image gen did as well as it could. Look at that. It generated as well as it could. It had Zarios' fire as a tool. We have plows to dig into the earth, water, and parchment on the left, and the wooden leg to the right. Right? And then you could even see the words being buried and eaten by Alkafir there.
I like the metallic design of her exoskeleton.
Yes. And that's one of the things that is quite cool as well, is that once she's becomes metal, then it is we could go several different ways, right? We could go with the whole Adeptus Mechanicus thing where the chitin becomes metallic, which is pretty. We could go that way, or we could have them become the craftsmen of the world, craftsmen and digging and all that good stuff. But most importantly, because they're a hive mind, I had a lot of fun with that. So they become the repositories of memories. Yep. And once the storyline reaches the Kaab, a lot of the lore will be shown here, and clues and things about the history of the world, especially all this stuff. This is probably written, like I said, it's written across different regions with different interpretations, but probably Zukocha, who is the Mayan equivalent, will be the most quote-unquote accurate. You know, the Mayans have their calendars and things. And over here is the next one. The Stormbird brought lightning. He shocked Kamayani and stopping the rhythm of her dance. And I like the wordplay here because shock and surprise is could mean the physical act and the act of surprise, and it's such a good word that's a great fit for lightning as an element. And it is the unpredictable versus the water, which is rhythmic. And you could say anything about predicting the rain. The cycle of water is much more predictable, right? He ruled the sky but wanted the land. Of course, that's the comparison of him versus the earth. But I could have put it next to Akafir, right? But I didn't. Because it fits over here better. Because he ruled the sky but wanted the land, and Lucian warned him with patience, but he answered with haste. So it is the idea of what is the patient versus impulse, or the impulsive. Very lightning-esque. But haste, shock, all the magic cards. And then he took Zagosha's voice and turned her objects into blinding light. This is the ancient equivalent of turning matter into energy. The equivalent exchange, E equals mc squared. And so burns so bright that stars from the sky. And if you have some sort of kind of not alchemical knowledge or any kind of knowledge about physics at all, then you probably know where this went, or this came from, or this idea came from. So Zarios deemed him guilty. For every action brings consequence, and for his punishment, Akafir ate his name, so none will worship him. So action and consequence is also another thing about the lightning versus fire, because lightning is the action, right? Lightning started the fire, and the fire was its consequence. So yeah. With all that said, that is how each of the gods were created, or how I made each of the gods.
We didn't start the flame war.
It was always burning when the world was turning. But yeah, so what happens now is that with all of these, we also have the world split into nations. Yep. So the world was torn apart. Zarios, heartless, birthed the Nyxbor, beast warriors of snow. Alkafir, armless, birthed the Muhamir, reptiles of the sand. Kamayini, blind, birthed the Jalaya, amphibians, cultists of the sea. Lucian, legless, birthed the Shuran, rooted treefolk of the forests. Zikohua, voiceless, birthed the Kaab, ant miners of the mountains. Storm god, the storm god. Or The Stormbird, I think. I need to change that. The Stormbird, nameless, bred the bird folk. Winged yet flightless, nameless, forgotten. Yep. And then we save. Yep. The image gen for ChatGPT is so smart, isn't it? Look at that. But I could have made the Jalaya a little bit less human-like, but that's fine. Yep. So the bird folk, the lizard folk, the ant.
Very neat story.
Yep. And then, of course, we have the Saint Zara brought words. To Zarios, she gave him a heart, so Nixbor could feel the passion. Al-Kafir, she gave him hands, so the Muhammir could honor their promises. Kamayini gave her eyes, so the Alliance could see truth. To Lucian, she gave them feet, so the Shurin could explore the world. To Kohwa, she gave her a voice, so that the Ka'ab could speak to others. To the storm god, the storm bird, she gave him a name, so the Wiracocha could leave a legacy. So that's the gist of it. Again, it's storm bird, not storm god. And then we have the Salamuzara Umejanima Roho Yawama Ikonawe prayer at the end. Yep, so there. That's a really, really neat storybook. I should really publish this as a separate bit of lore on maybe Royal Road. Right? And maybe make this a short form video to read. The only problem with this story is that I cannot read it in Nigerian or South African accent at all, because it literally starts with Indibiningi. The memes will be undoubtedly very, I can't get that meme out of my head. So, yeah.
Would you be able to read it in Thai?
I could certainly translate it into Thai and give it kind of an accent. I could read it in Thai, but then the whole thing is Salamuzara sounds very it is just very African already in that flavor. But, yeah.
I think it would help tie it all together.
I don't have my bonk meter up. Give me a second. Where's my bonk meter? I guess I'll do this.
At Biggie's Let's Plays, you successfully redeemed Bonk for 10 LP.
Wonderful. But yep, that's pretty much it for that little story. And okay, give me a second. I don't think am I ready to kind of publish? You know what? I'm just going to go to the all pages here and go to chapter 3. Yep, and this is something I'll edit this now and then post what I've done with it so far. So give me a second. I don't know if it's going to paste very well though. So give me a moment. And this is not nearly complete yet.
I don't have any critiques, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but no, I haven't. Oh, you don't have any critiques for the uh child's novel, I guess.
Yes, the creation story.
Yeah, the creation story was super refined. I made sure that it got so much refinement because I wanted it to reflect the lore of everything. Yep. So let me do this. Okay. Right. There's a bunch more things happening. There's the where is it? Ah, there we go. There is another entry. But I made just the earlier entry is a few tweaks. I made a few tweaks so that the storyline is a little bit clearer. Um, so where is it? One thing I added was here is that the arena crowds shared in the distance, eyes carrying a sorrow he couldn't fully show. Yet across the chamber, a Tigrin stifled a yawn as if he had heard it 1,000 times before. Lady Tawana's palms struck the table. Yeah, this is still not finished at all. But so basically, this is to reinforce that they don't listen to each other. Yep, just a tiny little nod. Like the visual cue, like that's the kind of action that speaks 1,000 words, right? Oh, I should really turn on some music, shouldn't I? What should I turn on? Not the music box one. Yeah, just do this one. Where is it? Okay. Right. And then since you wanted to make sure that as her final act, drew him to her embrace. That's just to make sure that she's dead. So I added that little thing, that little sentence. Yeah. What she sought was not retribution, far from it. It was loss and grief and regret and love pressed upon the monarch all at once, more than his heart could bear. Yeah, get it? More than his heart could bear. And in that unbearable deafness, the chamber reeled. Zara began to sing. Yep. And all this happened, right? Okay, I'm just going to read this last bit over here, which is the second entry, which shifts up the tone and wraps up the chapter, right? Okay. I hope you're ready, Mana. This is the first draft-ish of the second part of chapter 3. I just need to make sure that the whole thing could be seen. Right. Okay, where am I? I did not remember when I fell asleep. Only that on then when I awoke in a cold sweat with no, okay. This is going to be a little bit harder for me because I'm on my side, right? But I did not remember when I fell asleep. Only that I awoke in a cold sweat with shadows of dreams clinging to me like frost. Zara was gone. So was the Lupin. The silence of the inn gnawed at me, and I could not bear the thought of closing my eyes again. So I went downstairs. Dimitri was still awake. He sat hunched over the same battered table, scraps of parchment scattered around him like the shells of some creature long cracked and cast aside. Without looking up, he shoved a stack of blank parchment and a knob of charcoal into my hands. When I asked him if they had if he required payment for our continued stay, he only growled low in his throat and bent back to his work. I watched him for a time. Strange it was, seeing him scratch out lines and then violently cross them through, start again, then again. I had always thought of him a man too practical for second thoughts, too cold for hesitation. Yet here he was, muttering under his breath, words I could not catch, lines he could not yet shape. Once though, perhaps it was only a flicker of the dying lamp, I thought I saw a faint ember trace across the page as his hands moved, like fire etched into it. Okay, I need to rewrite this. Because I said page twice. Yep, always important to read your novel out to see various different things showing up that you didn't spot when you're writing it. I thanked him for the parchment. He grunted in response. I packed it neatly into my satchel and took my leave. Now I can write again. At least, I think I should add an at least. So, like, he could probably just say something like, put his mind a little bit at ease that now at least he could write again. Okay. Here's a segment I like. Okay. The night air was sharp. Okay, this is a little bit on the high side. The night air was sharp. The sky so clear, it seemed that the stars themselves burnt holes in the firmament. The moon was full, white and watchful, an auspicious sign. It was then I saw them, Zara and the Lupin guard, seated a short distance from the inn. She was pointing at things in the courtyard, a barrel, a lantern, the stones of the well. He would murmur the words in Nixborian, and she would repeat it softly, almost reverently, as if it were words of an incantation. At last, she turned a finger on him. The Lupin gave a small shrug and answered, "Alexander." She nodded, then moved her hand to her own chest. "Zara," she said. Her gaze lingered upon him for a while, that even the ever watchful Lupin had to avert his eyes. Then she swiveled towards me, finger level, brown pupils gleaming in the moonlight. Her lips curved as she declared, in the same tongue, "Fool." Alexander choked back the laugh. Zara threw her head back and let her spill out, full and unrestrained. My blood rose hot. I feel the insult keenly. Yet the sound of her laughter carried in the night, bright and unclouded. In that moment she was no prophetess, no vessel of mystery, only a child mocking me. And yet, why did it feel deliberate? As though she was meant for something in her mirth beyond what I could grasp. The laughter was interrupted by the sound of a small, hurried steps crunching through the frost. A Leporian child, barely more than a kid, came stumbling into the courtyard, wide-eyed and trembling. She ran straight to Zara, seizing her sleeve with both paws. The guard rose at once, his hand to his weapon, but Zara lifted her hand and he froze. The child's ear flattened, and her gaze swept the courtyard as if searching for someone. She looked past me, past Alexander, past even Zara. She was searching for the Tawanas. It struck me then. It was the same child that shared a prayer with them the night before. Zara bent low, whispering in broken Nixborian, her words halting but clear enough, cutting through the night like glass. "They are gone." Zara's voice was flat, her face unreadable. I had to remind myself that she had just watched her parents struck down in cold blood. Her laughter earlier, mocking me, calling me a fool, perhaps it was not cruelty but a bulwark against grief, or perhaps it was meant for me, to jolt me from my stupor. Stupa. I cannot say. I thought then of my days when my father died. Died? God, I'm mixing accent. I thought then of the days my own father died. I had filled the house with useless chatter, as though words could damn the silence in pressing in. Perhaps her laughter was no different, a child's defense against the void. It struck me that I had not written to my mother since leaving Anzania. She should not hear of these things from strangers. I swore them to send her word, should a messenger be found. The child's lips quivered, but she did not cry. Instead, she tugged harder at Sarah's sleeve, insistent, pleading. Sarah glanced at Alexander, then back at me. She nodded her head, a small gesture that carried an unspoken weight, much like Lord Tawana's. Then she rose, allowing the child to lead her into the winding alleys beyond the inn. The alleys narrowed, their stone walls damp with frost. I said frost too many times, didn't I? Okay. need to note this down. Too much frost. Is it? Until we came to a modest burrow, half sunk in the earth. Light spilled from the doorway in a ragged bursts, flaring and dimming with each panicked breath within. Should I even just say a burrow? I probably didn't want it to make it a burrow. Probably a shack. Okay. Light spilled from the doorway in ragged bursts, flaring and dimming into each panicked breath within. We stepped into the threshold and were met by a voice like a whip. A Leporan matron, stern and harried, barreled towards us, ears pinned flat against her head. She waved her arms furiously, shoving at Alexander's breastplate and swatting at my robes with a ragged...
Hello, Biggie. Hello, Manta. I'm back again. I'm didn't die lol. Got very busy with life things. My mom was in the hospital for 3 weeks. Have had to care for her for weeks after that. Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you, Noah. Thanks for being here, buddy. Sorry to hear about your mom.
Hi,
Hope
Noah.
she's doing well.
Hope your mother is well.
Yes. And today I'm reading my my novel. So it's a lot different than my usual live streams.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's a lot different than my usual live streams. You might go and rewatch the VOD. I made a really cool creation myth. Right? And Noah, since you're here, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a term called synchronicity. I think it matches what you went through and what I'm going through right now pretty well.
Were you worried about me? Thumbs up.
I remembered you coming in and sharing about your ideas about what you heard and about a band and chatting with Manta regarding that. Yeah, I remember.
Oh yes, I know synchronicity.
Yeah. So currently, with me writing this novel, a lot of that is happening. A lot of things are kind of like falling into place to let me use all the knowledge I have to write this, as well as lots of very strange beats happening into the story that it's creepy. For example, I wanted to do the story revolves around the revival of
I see.
of music and art in a land without it, right? And I went and picked because I had the new musical knowledge, right? The first real history of music began with a lady called Hildegard von Bingen, and her songs were not very typical of Christian mythology or anything Christian or sacred at all, because she's one of those Joan of Arc type figures who became a what's the word? A nun, I guess, for lack of a better word. And she started writing music when it was taboo to have music in church. She said that the music that she saw or she wrote down is divine, plus a divine like thing from God, right? เรียกไหมฮะขอปืดหน่อย or something divine from God. And the song that I picked, I can't play it here, but I'll link to it, right? So this is the song that I made a short form out of, and I can't I had to remove it from my VOD last time, so I'm gonna just link the give me a second. Hmm. So let me link a couple of things. Where am I?
Sounds just like you're describing Nightwish, the band I mentioned.
Yes.
Very similar to their theme.
Yep. And now you're showing up as well, so hopefully there's a couple of things you might want to share. Wow, this is weird. I'm getting more and more views on the... Wait, am I actually getting more views on the short? Let me just look at analytics if it's actually growing slowly. No, it's not. Okay, never mind. Yep, so... Wait, what happened to Twitch? Is everything okay on Twitch? Oh, I forgot to pin.
Still here.
Yep, I forgot to pin my earlier message. Give me a second. Did I even pin this? Okay, I'm gonna share it from Twitch, I guess. So this is the short with the song that's sung. And it is called O Rubor Sanguinis, right? And O Rubor Sanguinis is one of her most infamous songs because it literally details the... give me a second. It details the blood. O Rubor Sanguinis means O Ruby Red Blood, and it sings about martyrdom, and that's why I actually picked it. But I picked it knowing the context, but not the exact lines. And let me just pop this.
Socials.
And what happened is in the lines of the exact meaning, the translation is something like you will not be... I'll look up the exact translation. Yep. Oh. Because I don't want to paraphrase. Yep. Rubor Sanguinis lyrics. Yep. Yep. Oh, bloody red that flowed from up on that height, divinity has touched, a bloom you are. The winter that the serpent's blast has never been marred, or something along the lines of that, right? It is talking about a serpent, and it is so creepy because literally what's actually happening in the story is that the blade that struck down the the protagonist's parents is made by serpent people or reptile people, and it was just like and it's specifically very, very much a coincidence. It just aligned, and it felt so creepy. But yeah. Anyways, with that, I'm gonna continue reading my story if you don't mind. Okay. So, there we go. We stepped across the threshold, and we met by a voice back and weep. A Leporan matron.
Okay.
A Leporan matron, stern and harried, barreled towards us, ears pinned flat against her head. She waved her arms furiously, shoving at Alexander's breastplate and swatting at my robes with a ragged streak in blood. And by the way, I'm reading this in an African accent because that's the character's ethnicity. And it's gonna, that's why I wanted to add to the flavor. Behind them came the sound that has drawn us. A woman's labored cries, ragged and desperate. The air thick with sweat and fear. Even in Nixpo, there are areas taboo for men to For men, too is TOO. For men, regardless of caste. This was one of them. I need to remove the 2. There's this reading as well as editing, so. And so anybody who is interested in writing, reading out your first draft in public, no matter how bad it is the best way to critique your own work, right? Or edit it. That's ways, yeah. If you sound it out immediately, you'll see all of the mistakes. So that's why I'm doing this. Yeah. So basically, there's a Laporan, which is... Oh, come on. Give me a second. Let me reopen all the windows that minimized. Is it working yet? Okay. Happens sometimes. But just a bunch of beast folks here. Yep. I stammered, hands lifted, the rebuke ringing louder in my ears than any hymn I'd ever copied. The guard stepped back, chastened it, despite his silence and steel. Do I even need to even say this? Yeah, the more I read this, the less sense this this is unnecessary. I'll need to refine the line. Or this sentence. Okay. The little Leporan clung to Zara's side, refusing to release her sleeve. The midwife wheeled towards her, ready to drag her out as well. But Zara shook her head with a quiet firmness that stilled even the matron's fury. For a heartbeat, silence. Then the midwife snorted, muttered a curse, and turned back to her work. Zara slipped further into the room, the child's hand clasped in her own. Banished to the cold night, I lingered just outside the threshold, my back against the damp stone. The cries within rose and fell like waves, broken by sharp commands of the midwife. I told myself to leave, to grant them privacy, but then I heard it. Zara's voice, not in Anzanian, but in halting fragments of Nyxborian. Words strung together like pebbles across a stream, uneven yet deliberate. Light, heart, breath. I leaned forward, unable to stop myself. Through the narrow cracks of the doorway, I glimpsed her kneeling beside the little Leporan, their hands entwined in prayer. The child echoed her words with soft conviction, her high voice threading with Zara's broken cadence. And in the dim glow of the fire pit, I saw it, small embers, faint as dust motes, rising from the clasped hands. They drifted from the earth. They drifted through the air, fragile and shimmering, as though the vases themselves struck flints against stone. And for a moment, I doubted my eyes, but no. The sparks clung to the rafters, caught in the breath of the room. And then I felt a shiver coursing through me. It was magical. The sparks did not blaze, nor kindle a flame. They only drifted, pale, flickering, as though uncertain whether to vanish or endure. Zara's voice faltered but it did not break. The child squeezed her hand tighter, whispering the words after her, steadying her like a second vase to an unfinished hymn. Inside, the mother groaned, the midwife urging her on, Sweat gleamed on her brow, her breath shallow, each contraction pulling her closer. The air grew thick, not with smoke, but with expectancy. I pressed closer to the doorway, straining to hear, straining to see. Every syllable Sarah spoke seemed to stretch into silence between breaths. The room was tense, taut as a bowstring, and then the final push, a ragged cry from the mother. A pause so long my heart stopped beating. Then, piercing the silence, the wail of a newborn, thin, high, alive. The midwife gasped, clutching the child to her chest. The mother's eyes fluttered wide open, weary yet radiant with relief. A smile spread across her face as tears coursed freely down her cheeks. And for context, the Nyxborians, all across all their castes and all the different members of their society, have been unable to cry for centuries. So this is right after what happened in the martyrdom room. So earlier on the story, there's a beat where Zara's parents got unalived in cold blood, right? And Zara sang. And after Zara singing, they cried, pretty much. So she basically unlocked the heart of the Nyxbor. So this was the first step, or the first sign that it has unlocked across the entire realm, right? And here's the cool part. For a heartbeat, the room was still, save for the mother's sobs and the baby's cry. Then I noticed it. The sound echoed strangely, not muffled by the walls, but carried outward, caught in the cold night air. And another cry answered from a neighboring shack, not burrow. Then another, further off. One by one, the voices of infants rose in chorus throughout the city, their laments spreading like fire through the dry brush. My breath caught. The Leporin girl clutched Zara's arm, wide-eyed, as if she too could feel it, the unlocking of something long denied. We returned to the inn in silence. Alexander kept his hand near his axe, though none dared trouble us. Zara walked ahead, the Leporin child still clinging to her sleeve. Dimitri was outside when we arrived, pacing, a strange light in his eyes. He muttered to himself, clutching a scrap of parchment. I might have asked him what it was about, but weariness dragged me down like stone. I collapsed into sleep before another word could be exchanged. At dawn, I woke to voices in the street. Curious, I stepped to the window, and there he was, Dimitri, the innkeeper, standing atop a crate, shouting thus in the gathered crowd. His words were rough, scrawled in ash and charcoal, but the people cheered and then repeated them as they were scripture. I caught enough to hazard a translation. Nyxbor is reborn. Fire roared with grief and joy. Our hearts has returned. Our hearts have returned. And so it was. And that's the end of the chapter. So that's it. That's the end of the Nyxbor chapter. The next chapter is going to be a bit of an aftermath, 7-year time skip, and we're going to have all of that in the Muhamir chapter. So,
overuse of frost needs
Yes.
synonyms for frost.
Yep. That's that like I said, too much frost. That's already in the frost everywhere. That's because I didn't check across for all the frost. We certainly won't be overused if we mentioned it. If it was Emma Frost, we could always use a little bit more Emma Frost. But yeah, that deserves a bonk for me. But anyways, aside from the
Heck yeah.
frosting, yes, yeah. Aside from the overuse of frost, does the beat sound fine? Does anything seem missing, or does that leave enough to to tantalize people for more story? Yep. Like I said, it's still WIP though. Not this. All pages. So I'm gonna link the memoirs. So this is the wiki version where I keep all my edits. Right. So don't go and abuse
The
your
thing
power.
about the tears returning fits symbolically exactly my religious belief. And it's all throughout Nightwish and Ori's music. I'm loving this. Compiling my critique, it will be a minute.
Thank you. Yep. Tears returning. Yep. That's yeah, everything just is so neat, right? The thing about it is, right, what this story is going to be, and by the way, I'm going to read this as well, uh the memoirs introduction, so that Noah could have some context. And I'm going to try to read it in the whatchamacallit accent. In the transatlantic accent. So this is more modern. These events happened about 100 years ago. Um, and this is 100 years
Reminds
after.
me of Name of the Wind kind of.
Okay, yeah. Right. And I'm going to record this now because last time I recorded this, it didn't capture everything well. So just give me a second while I press record. And where is this? 1, 2, 3. To all members of the Mawu Inner Circle, the so-called memoirs of Jacob are not scripture, but sedition. This apocryphal text, smuggled across borders and hidden in the back rooms of inns, claims to recount the travels of Our Lady and Martyr, Saint Zara of Anzania, through the 7 realms. Its author, a mere missionary scribe, writes with trembling ink and unguarded candor, and therein lies the danger. What the official liturgies veil in parable, this work lays bare. Worse still, it records the lady herself not as a sainted paragon, but as a strange, unsettling figure in her poetry and her silences. It is for this reason that the text was proscribed, not because it lies, but because it tells a truth dangerous enough to unravel faith and topple institutions. Let this stand as a final admonition. Do not read. If you find these pages, consign them to the flames. Preserve your life and your soul. The revelations contained within have already caused others theirs. Yeah, that's the intro to the memoirs. And this text, I'm planning the way I'm planning it out is going to be historical memoir slowly turning into eldritch horror. It's gonna reek of like all that stuff. This is the and in the long run, and just as a bit of a further context for Noah here, this didn't start off as a book. What this started off is that I'm a avid player, well, the only player of Unlimited Saga. that has played and recorded it and done it and done challenges, runs, and things about that. And Unlimited Saga had a big problem, which is the magic system. So I started off by creating a new magic system. I could actually even just show it here. Uh, and after creating the new magic system, uh, uh, this turns into a new problem. So if you go ahead and let me just go and look at all the pages here. I'll also link you to my Royal Road. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a website called Royal Road, but Royal Road is where you go and publish your fiction. So if you create an account, you could comment and yeah, you could comment. Let me just copy the Royal Road thing. Where is it? Where's my chat? Here it is.
First critique, minor, Jakob receiving the writing implements, could say I packed the materials neatly in my satchel and took my leave. Writing supplies in hand, I continued my search for my charge.
Search for my charge? Yeah, okay, so this is the memoirs.
I assume Jakob is kinda the one watching over Zara now that her parents are gone.
Oh, I get it now. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the church my charge is the one in charge. Yep. Yeah. Okay. That I'll copy that. Good critique. Thank you. I'll copy this and then yep. I hopefully yeah. There's also there's a couple of things even ChatGPT just suggested I do as well that I haven't done yet. But I could only do so much. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, Noah, if you're still here, I need to head back and talk about this. Where am I? Elemental weaknesses chart. Yeah, the entire thing. I went and tried to save uh, the magic system in whatchamacallit. Yeah, I tried to go and save the magic system in where's my. Did I do this properly? No, it needs to be a little bit higher.
Second, minor, Zara calling Jakob a fool. This is minorest of minor, but would my face flushed red also work?
Hmm. Okay, just give me a second. I want to compare it to my original writing. Because saying that the face flush red would probably work better. Okay.
My blood rose hot sounds a bit angrier than face flushing red. It wasn't a major insult, after all.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. The thing that Okay, so let's
Tumas
meet.
Holopainen's Ori band just released a new album Candles and Beginnings, and the new song Shield Maiden mentions we leave you now in sanguine silence. Did you say sanguine was in that short? Just a minor of minor things.
Yes. Oh, that's fair to mention that. I mean, it's not the fact that it's okay. The only thing that I would critique with my face flush red is that, you know what? Well, let's meet somewhere in the middle, because my face flushed red is that it is a visual sensation rather than a physical one. You wouldn't refer to face flushing red unless you refer to someone else that he observed. He probably the middle ground that I will settle for is something like, I could feel blood rushing to my cheeks.
True.
Yeah, so I will say that. So I think that's I think that's the best of both worlds, I guess. I felt blood rushing to my cheeks. Yeah, very good. I mean, anything that disassociates, like I said, bad writing disassociates, right? Uh, it pulls you out of, or in other words, it pulls you out of immersion. Yeah. Wait, is that good enough for the stream to see? No. Okay. What about here? It's a little bit too much. Okay, so back to where we were, Noah. I said I wanted to fix the magic system in Unlimited Saga. And the magic system in Unlimited Saga is based on these elements. On five, not all of these elements, is based on five of these elements, which is fire, metal, wood, earth, and water. And these five elements make up the Chinese elemental relationship called Wuchang. And it said, oh wow, they have a built-in um, elemental weakness and strength things, and like a la Pokemon, and they didn't use it. So I said, what if we used it? And immediately it became problematic because the spells inside the game didn't work. Uh, flavor wise, like for um, old mythological regions or the regions to do with Taoism, they had a spell in the wood element that brought thunder because it was more of a correlation, correlation. There we go, correlational thing regarding the direction and the elements. So it would make no sense for wood that is weak to metal could use thunder against metal, and metal feels it feels off flavor wise. So what happened is I just re-added the lightning as an element, and after creating lightning as an element, another problem rose up. Then we have to redraw the whole elemental weakness thing. And after redrawing the whole elemental weakness thing, it everything clicked into place in terms of this. This is actually inaccurate over here because just switch offense and defense here. And we have fire that is strong against metal. Fire melts metal. Metal chops wood. Wood saps earth. Earth absorbs thunder. Thunder shocks water. And water douses fire. And now that's the major advantages. Now fire burns wood, and wood wood absorbs water. Water washes earth, and earth uh, covers fire, right? So that's the minor stuff. And then thunder and metal are weak to each other, right? So there's that. And now that with that new elemental chart, I've set off to say, wait a minute, let's add a seventh one because the number 7 was important to the game. And then it slowly became its own thing. So I went and created a whole table of elements for a table of races and elements, and basically, whatchamacallit, what's the word? Monolith each thing into each segment, and it slowly but surely made more and more sense. I slotted in this anything that was related to the seven deadly seven wonders, and slowly the world kind of built itself. And I created a short that had all the 7 wonders as a world building thing. And after creating that short, I said, oh, what should my next project be? And I said, oh, let's do a short story. And so I made a short story. And after that short story, um, okay, so let me just share the 7 wonders thing. Let's look at my
Cool.
content. Yep. Wait, what happened to my content? Yeah, well, I'll share this. Get shareable link. Yep. So this was my 7 wonders thing. And after that, oh, let's write a novel. And after starting to write said novel, what happened afterwards was that it turned longer and longer and longer, and there's more details to add, and it slowly took, like I said, it took a life of its own. And I feel like this little novel is haunting me a little bit because it's super like I was super immersed into it. But yeah, anyways, that's the gist of what's happened. But any other comments, Mana, right now? Because if you're okay, I'm going to reset my PC and set up the next stream, which I'm going to teach you Civilization 6.
Almost done.
Okay, almost done. All right. So while we wait for Mana, I'm going to just oh, this little dude's stopped moving. Okay, let me test you if you're still working.
Are you releasing a paperback and hardcover when it's done?
I'm not, I don't know. Oh, and suddenly he works fine. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know really. As soon as I threaten a restart, the whole thing starts to work, right? I don't know yet. Um, I'm going to whatchamacallit. Uh, I'm going to release it on Royal Road because that's free.
Digital format to start?
Yep, I'm gonna do the digital format to start off with. Yeah, and maybe put it as an audiobook, like either digital format or audiobook. It's not. I'm not sure how lucrative it is to get the book published. Certainly with an ebook
Can
format.
save Shield Maiden on YouTube and give it a listen. Might stir up your imagination some more. That's what fans say Ori does. Just a suggestion, not that you don't have imagination already. Thumbs up, thumbs up.
No, actually, let's just let me save that.
Third, and this is in the same paragraph. And yet, why did it feel deliberate, as though there was meaning in her mirth beyond what I could grasp, feels somewhat unnecessary seeing as a conclusion for her actions is reached in a few paragraphs later. Perhaps despite her raucous laughter, I could not sense any ill will in her remark. Despite the fresh memories of the night prior, I couldn't help but feel my heart lightened by the child's mirth.
Ooh. Oh, okay. That's true. Mm, that's true. Or um okay. So that's the I'm kind of oh man, I'm so 50-50 about this.
And then the conclusion a few paragraphs later would paint the picture of why Zara is trying to be happy, to hide the pain.
The thing about it though, Mana, you're right to question it, but something's gonna happen next chapter that is because it's a bait and switch. It like you said, it's a bait and switch actually, because there's got to be something happening in the next chapter that you'll realize immediately that there is something other
Story of
than
my life, Manta, thumbs up lol.
yeah. It is it's a bit of a bait and switch. What's going to happen next chapter? I'm spoiling this by the way. Is that from this point forward, he will never hear her speak directly to him in Anzanian ever again, except for a few words. And it's going to be kind of like a WTF moment. And for him, like he, it is a bit of an ominous
I see.
foreshadowing. Yes, yeah, but uh, I'm I it's a like I said, I tried to bait and switch it in a few sentences, and there's a reason for that, right? And there's something really really as the story progresses. Like I said, it's going to be something eldritch, nearly eldritch, because if you already know where I'm going with who Zara is, um, if the game that ever you know what, we're going way beyond into spoilers territory, right? But for what I'm going to say right now is that in the future, Zara is in the next chapter at the very least, it will be revealed that Zara never spoke directly to Jakob in Anzanian again, and it's going to drive him, uh, like drive him mad a little bit, because first off, she's going to start speaking to him only in Nixborian, and after a while, uh, the travel is going to lead them into Muhammad territory. So she's learning the Muhammad language, and she's speaking to him in that, which he hates as well. So basically, if I I could hear, I just like whether if it's to vex him on purpose or whatever, right? But it's going to be revealed that, but every single time, she's gonna speak to him in uh in Anzanian, or his tongue, it's going to be significant, and I'm laying putting down breadcrumbs for further and further, right? And gosh, I wish I could finish this novel, right? But if this novel's finished, I have like an idea in my head to just f people's minds, really, right? It's gonna like, and it is somewhat of a what's the word? This could work so well as a visual novel, by the way. Visual novel would be the perfect medium for this. We could go full Doki Doki Literature Club in terms of how eldritch it could go. But it's not going to be fourth wall breaky. Well, it might be a little fourth wall breaky, but it is. You know what? Put it aside. Let's not overexert ourselves and explain too much. Let's go play some Civilization, shall we? Wouldn't that be nice? Or how about any final words before we move on to that?
I said my critiques.
Okay. So, yep. If you said your critiques, I'm going to thank my members, and then we're going to move on to a different stream.
Good work, Imig to love.
Thank you. And wait, give me a second. Is it delayed again? The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
It's still delayed. Okay. I'll go reset my PC. See if it helps. I'm just going to thank my members for now. So thank you, Epilux, Manta, Rafael Vega Chapa, Amish Slime, and Chris Bread for being members at that time of streaming. Watch vids early, cool badges and emojis for whenever you comment. And if you want to join the members program or support my channel in any other way, monetarily and otherwise, feel free to do so by clicking the join button or subscribe to me on Twitch. All the links to various different things are in my link tree in the description. And I'm going to link the next part of the live stream here. Where is it? So if you're watching on the tubes, go and continue watching me there if you so wish. Get shareable link here. So if you want to, Noah, go wait for me here and let me reset my PC, and I'll be right back.